So first of all, I'll just say, Laura, thank you so much for coming to our new podcast, Dubai Way, which is covering all things happening in Dubai, trying to get a 360 portrait of different interesting verticals in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And you are like the ideal guest as the editor of What's On magazine, which is essentially doing, this amazing job of articulating all the things happening in Dubai in one monthly magazine. And so can you just tell us maybe how you put together the magazine every month? How do you approach that challenge of figuring out all the things happening in Dubai and put it into one place?
Yeah, it's not the easiest of jobs because some companies, brands and events are really good at marketing themselves. Mm-hmm. And we'll see billboards and we'll make notes and we'll message each other, email each other going, this is an event that's happening and these are the big events. We'll check some of the bigger websites, Platinum List, Dubai Calendar's excellent. That's Dubai Calendar's the Dubai tourism kind of portal where they get a lot of information of the main events that are happening. And also we rely heavily on a lot of PRs. So they'll send us emails. It's their job to make very good relationships with us. Yeah. And then we start to whittle down what we think and what we see as the most exciting, what should be what's cover worthy, what's good as a feature, and then maybe what's good as a kind of small newsy nib.
And how does that usually play out in terms of what's cover worthy? What's that conversation like?
So with What's On, we're very much focused to the general public. So we're not niche in any way, shape or form. Yeah. So if, for example...
So your audience is everyone.
Exactly. We're everyone but to a certain extent. So we would say that our demographic is kind of like 18 to 45, right? But their interests are very general. So we're not like a niche music, just focus on sports or just focus on food. So we have to be exceptionally broad. So for example, when we're focusing on the really big events that happen. So for example, this issue, it's the jazz festival. Yep. That's going to be a big focus in our magazine. Similarly, if it was, if it's the Dubai International Film Festival in December, that's a big event that happens in the UAE. We focus on that.
So it depends on what happens every month, and then you base all the focus on what's happening this month.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we spread it off. We spread that with some more interesting, fun features. It might be foodie features, or it might be we might kind of create a cool listicle of some sort that we find interesting.
And so, as you said earlier, the different events and things going on are sort of vying for your attention.
Yeah.
But you have to, in some sense, ignore some of them and prioritize what you consider the coolest or the best or most...
Yeah, I mean, we try very hard to try and include as much as we possibly can. Right. But, if a small store is hosting a launch event and it's vying, it's kind of trying to compete against Jazz Fest, it's very hard for, we know where we're going to have to kind of lay the coverage. So
let's talk about what is in fact happening here in the latest, I keep trying to figure out the word for this.
Issue.
Thank you. You're
such a digital guy, aren't you?
I'm a digital media professor and I forgot the word issue. Yeah. Thank you.
We can call it a tangible product.
Right, exactly. A physical media product. And so looking at the amazing things happening this February, what did you think? How did for example, the Dubai Desert Classic go, in your opinion?
The event itself went well. It didn't go as well as I think they had hoped. Yeah. I mean, we, as you can see here, obviously the crux of magazines and digital and tangible products. We put out a magazine and we say, we have to plan it a month in advance. Right. And then so we put the February issue to bed in the middle of January. So we have to kind of assume and hope that all of these events take place, right?
That's a great point, yeah.
And sometimes, Dubai can be Dubai and events can be cancelled last minute. Great example, Elton John, huge feature in the December issue.
Well, you got that in here, I think. It says Elton John cancelling for a second time in a row.
Yeah, that's right. We got it in this issue. But in the issue where he was meant to perform in December, we have this huge feature, and of course, just as we go to press, oh, it's cancelled and we're too late. You know,
What was it? He was sick, right?
Well, yes, that's what
he said.
That's what we
anyway.
heard. But I think he was seen at someone's wedding. I think in
Oh
such and
my
such a
God.
place. But anyway, they've postponed. They say they've postponed until I think next December. So it's about 366 days later than he was meant to show. So yes. Anyway, the golf was. This is a great example.
I was there.
Yeah,
it was awesome actually. But a perfect example. I know what you're going to say. Tiger's there, and Tiger did
out.
play the first day.
He did. Yes.
But then he dropped out
But then
with
he
supposedly
pulled
with
out.
muscle spasms. But
Yeah.
he might have just been playing terrible and wanted to get off the
knows?
stage.
Who knows? But yeah, example. We put a picture in saying that on the 5th, this is when you should check out Tiger Woods. Of course, by the 5th, he's already pulled out.
Yep.
So it can be really tricky. Another great example. Because we're a monthly magazine, we go out to press on the 1st of every month. Now, Redfest EXB happens. It was meant to happen on the 2nd and the 3rd. There is no point us writing a big feature about an event that is happening so early on in the so early on in the month.
In the month.
Because by the time someone picks up this magazine, let's say, when did most people pick up a magazine? Maybe the first week of the month. But really, imagine if they pick it up. Most people are going to pick it up past the 5th, and then they've got a whole 3 pages on Redfest. When it doesn't make any sense to them, they'll just learn about what they missed.
So if something happens super early in the month, it's
we
always
kind of have to. We either have to put it. We either have to write about it even earlier. Yeah. So we have to be a bit careful. We have
And
to.
just for the listeners to understand, that's because the magazine is monthly.
Yes, exactly.
Right. What do you think is the most exciting thing happening this February?
Personally, I'm really excited about West Side Story.
Okay.
That make me really old. Is that cringy? Am I cheesy now?
No.
Yeah, I'm probably cheesy. You can
So
say that.
how is the
It's
Dubai Opera House going? Is it successful in your
I
opinion?
mean, yeah, it's amazing. I think I've been to every show
Wow.
so far. I'm a bit of a fan. I'm a real fan of it. I love the fact that, I'm a big theatre fan, and I feel like, before Dubai Opera, that it was very difficult to get amazing productions
Sure.
here. I mean, there's
Okay.
fantastic amateur, theatre, but there wasn't really a stage for it. What we at best we had Dubai World Trade Center, which is fine, but can be a bit difficult to put on a production there because it's so boxy. But now we've got this amazing
Venue,
theatre space.
theater.
We even had like those small playhouses, like
Yeah.
courtyard.
Which is amazing. And I love Courtyard Playhouse. What they've done with such a small space on their own, homegrown brand, big fan. But, compared to Dubai Opera, where they can really bring in some incredible, the best talent from around the world to play, and we get to witness
Because
that.
it's, in other words, it's sufficiently prestigious of a venue that the best people will come, you're saying, or the best productions will
Yeah. Well, they got money.
come. And when did the Opera House launch again? It was recently.
It was recently. So they opened in August. On August 31st, 2016 was
Right.
the opening date with Placido Domingo. He is a very famous tenor. He opened the Dubai Opera House. And then we've had some amazing musicals. We had Les Mis, which had the greatest Broadway and West End production cast together here. But anyway, so this is in February, during Valentine's Day, this 14th to the 18th of February, is when West Side Story is performing.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be a really fun musical. I think it's going to be really well received. Of course, we have Jazz Festival, which has a huge lineup. Whether you like it or not, I'm not sure. I think is a little bit for everyone maybe, but we've got, of course, Mariah Carey, Tom Jones and Enrique Iglesias. We're happy to have Tom Jones back. He was meant to perform, again, a prime example, was meant to perform in the UAE last year, but had to pull out, sadly, because of the death of his wife. But we're happy to have him back in and confirmed for his performance.
So does this typically have really, really good turnout, the Jazz Fest, in your experience?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I guess my larger question is, the events happening in Dubai, in general, do you find that there's enthusiasm for the events and a lot of people turning out?
Yeah, I do actually. I think people are really hungry for
Yeah.
events and for things to do in Dubai. We get this kind of drought in the summer where nothing happens and everyone's kind of starving for things to do. And typically we find that a really testing time at what's on, because by its very nature there's not that much on. So we have to kind of think of really smart ways of writing features that are going to get people interested in picking up the magazine. So we'll do a lot of kind of, great things to do indoors features, So those are the kind of features that we do in the summer, more broader listicle kind of features. And then when you get into the cooler months, everyone starts competing for weekends.
I mean, the weather right now is gorgeous, excepting I guess Friday, which was freakish in terms of how bad
Thank goodness no one had an event, huh? Oh, I think there were.
Redfest.
Oh, of course, yes, unfortunately. Actually, but luckily, the next day was amazing.
I was there at Desert Classic, and from a golf perspective, it's kind of fascinating watching golfers play in that weather.
Oh, yeah.
But eventually, they actually did close.
Same, Dubai Tour as well, I forgot, the cycling championships, that had to be cancelled as well. So, yeah, it did mess up a lot of events.
But the very next day, the weather was gorgeous.
I know.
So it was amazing, almost a freakish turnaround.
Crazy, huh? They're fair play to Redfest for being able to kind of move everything to the next day. I can't imagine that was
I don't think they really
an easy
had
task.
A choice or an option, because everything just went down.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh dear.
Now, if Jazz Fest is supposed to be jazz, because Enrique Iglesias is not jazz.
Yeah, well, I think Jazz Fest is now a really broad term for what would be called a music festival. I mean, it is super eclectic. I think we've had rock bands play, and in the past, Santana's played in the past. So yeah, I think Jazz Fest, it's definitely expanded more.
But you've been in Dubai for 6 years, you
Yeah,
said.
I have. And Jazz Fest has kind of transformed a bit over the years, even since I've been here. It was in Media City Amphitheatre, and then for a couple of years it moved out to Dubai Festival City. Then it became a 2-week festival. And then I think there was uproar because people didn't like that venue as much. And they listened to the people and brought it back to
Where is Jazz Fest again?
At Media City Amphitheatre.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah. So
across the street.
Yeah,
for our listeners who don't know where we are.
Yeah. And me as well.
You as well.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners, so the headquarters, or I should say the office of What's On magazine, is in Media 1, which is maybe 500 meters from here?
Yeah.
Because American University in Dubai is located in the heart of Media City. What do you think about the Guns N' Roses show? Is that going to rock or what?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about it. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm not much of a fan. Is that, again,
that is sacrilege, except for the fact that they are so old.
Isn't that supposed to be their last show?
I don't know. Well, maybe. Maybe they don't know that yet. Maybe they don't know it, but yeah. I mean, look.
You mean the end of the tour, or you mean they're not going to play anymore?
I don't know. I think I heard somewhere, or I might have mistaken the bands. But
She just means that they're so old that it's likely that it's their last time.
It's likely that this will.
I mean, look.
That's how they want to go out, probably.
It's a proper classic lineup, so I'm sure it's going to be full.
It's going to be Duff McKagan, Slash, and Axl. So for me, I used to be a huge Guns N' Roses fan. I can't say that I could, because after a while they don't produce new music, so you can't really listen to the same stuff over and over. But those are the original guys from Appetite for Destruction, so that is pretty exciting. Because the last 15 years or something like that, they've had new people in the lineup. So, and from what I understand, Slash and Axl have been feuding for the last 20 years or 25 years.
So they've kind of rekindled their friendship?
They've rekindled their friendship, apparently. So you're right, it is pretty exciting to have them all together.
I'm intrigued. It's going to be, it's at an interesting arena. This is the Autism Rocks Arena in Dubai, which is way out Dubai Al Ain Road way, right? And it's been fueled with problems. Unfortunately, there's they're meant to have had Elton John perform there, and he cancelled, and then someone else, and they cancelled.
Didn't Justin Bieber also bail on them?
Yeah. Well, did he bail? I don't think he bailed.
Or maybe he got thrown off. Oh, he came really late.
That was at the Seven Stadium, right?
Okay.
That was at the Seven Stadium. But Bieber's back in May.
Bieber's back in May.
Last year, I don't remember when, but they had like a concert there where they had who did they bring? Flo Rida and Tyga, and they had like a charity event there.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember who else has played there, but
What's the best music venue in Dubai, in your opinion?
Media City Amphitheatre.
Okay.
I think the view in that amphitheatre is so special and so lovely, and it's lovely to be able to have kind of a lawn area.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not just concrete, and it's just, there are very few venues that have such an amazing kind of land, you know, skyscrapers and scenic view. I think that's cool.
Well, the faculty housing for American University, where I live in TCOM, but a number of the professors live in the faculty housing here on campus, and their apartments, their balconies look out on the amphitheater, so they can.
Does that
actually,
mean they get like a front row view?
They get like a box seat view.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's incredibly loud. I'm sure you've heard it.
I live in the Greens, which is across Shakeside Road, and I can still hear it.
Yeah, and it shakes the campus, right?
Yeah, like even us when we're like just spending a night here, we can just hear the music as if we're there. We
Oh,
don't really have to buy
no.
tickets.
Oh no!
Just listen to the
But it never
concert.
sounds very good, you know. I bet if
Yeah.
you're right up front, it
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're a little bit further out, and we hear it, we hear
Agreed.
you must hear all the rehearsals as well.
Yeah, we do.
And so we're trying to type on deadline, and all I've got is this. Boom,
And we're
boom,
trying to
boom,
study
boom,
for
boom.
finals.
Exactly, we're both in terrible positions. So we've also have an amazing.
I wanted to talk about
Event,
that.
yeah.
Tell me. Let's talk about this Try Dubai event.
Yeah, so Try Dubai is, I guess, it's been my passion project that
I
I've
see.
been trying to pitch since I started at What's On.
It seems that you have quite a bit of influence because the cover story is also your project, is it not?
The cover story. The
But
cover story is.
We can come back to that.
Yeah, sure. So Try Dubai was the cover. Actually, it was the cover story in January.
Oh, I see. Yes.
To kind of announce it.
Right.
And then I plugged it even more in the next issue because we want it to be a big deal. But essentially, Try Dubai came about because we get so many inquiries about what people can do in Dubai.
People must ask you that all the time. What do I do? Right?
Yeah, what should I do? What's happening on Saturday? My mum's coming into town, 3 weeks on Tuesday, what's happening on that Wednesday? And I have to kind of rack my brain and go, well, every Wednesday there's that and this is happening and these are great and that's new. And I'm like a walking app.
Yeah.
Walking calendar.
And I'm like a walking calendar, and I try and kind of think. But people also say to me, "Gosh, we're so sick of brunches, or we're so sick of just sitting on the beach.
I want to break out of the mold.
And I want to do something different.
Yeah.
What can I do? There's nothing. People think, there's nothing to do in Dubai except brunches and go partying and sit at the beach." And yet I have so many companies and so many brands and clubs and groups telling me about what they do that we put it into the magazine every month, snippets here and there of what people do. But what I wanted to do was create a community, create a physical space where rather than me and my team talking about these amazing companies, what about if they do it? What if we got all of the amazing clubs and groups that are in Dubai? What if we created an area for them to tell people what they do? It's basically like a freshers fair.
It's like a what fair?
Like a freshers.
What does
I
that
don't
mean?
know. So at my university
Yeah.
in the UK, whenever you started at university,
Like a club fair.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
we have
So you have
club
club
fairs,
fairs.
yeah.
Okay, so in the UK we call it a freshers fair.
Okay.
And you will arrive into what is usually like a big auditorium, and everyone will have tables, and you'll have
Booths
a
and-
booth. You'll have the music club, and you'll have
This
the
is
water polo
a
team.
great idea. This is a great idea.
Thank you.
This is the kind of thing that appeals to people who, like you say, have been living in Dubai for a while and they've done all, like you say, the brunches, the restaurants. They want to try a new thing.
Absolutely. Or it's caters to new people as well, who are terrified at the prospect of being alone in Dubai and they don't know what to do. What if they came here and they could meet new people, they could join a club, and they could have some fun? So
Cool.
we really wanted to tailor to everybody. So at Try Dubai, which is happening on February 10th, which may or may not be out by the time.
Be on time. We're going to have to hustle to get this thing out, but we'll do the best we can.
No problem, but hopefully it will be the greatest event in February.
Yes.
And hopefully some people will have joined some new clubs and tried something new, and at least have met some interesting people and tried Dubai.
It's a brilliant idea, and I mean, I can instantly see the appeal of this. As I look through the list of things to do, paddleboarding is hot here, huh?
Yeah, all water sports in Dubai
Yeah.
are really popular for obvious reasons. But we've got a company called Fahrenheit Beach Sports. They're a brand new water sports centre, and they host this. They obviously have paddleboarding, they do wakeboarding and things like that. But they have a really cool club which is called the SUP Sisters, which is stand-up paddleboarding sisters. So it's for women, and it's effectively a fitness class. So you take your paddleboards out into the water, and they have a platform where they connect all of the paddleboards, and so it looks like a flower.
Okay.
And then you start planking on the paddleboards, and you have to jump off, start swimming as fast as you can in a circle, get back onto the board, then try and do a headstand, then try and do sit-ups, and it's basically a workout. And all these women do it, and it's really, really fun. And so you can try it at Try Dubai on February 10th for free. All of the activities
You
that
can
we're
try
having.
every one for free. I mean, some people can actually. Okay, I see. As you go through the day, you can try to do everything. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. You can do as much as you like, provided that there's space. And we didn't want to make it just about sports either, you know. So
Yeah.
some people just don't want to do paddleboarding, you know.
Right.
They're more theatrical or musical or whatever. So we've got everything. We've got painting masterclasses. We've got drama workshops. If you wanted to be a comedian, we've got comedians teaching you how to do stand-up. So it's a really fun way of getting to meet the people who are passionate about these particular
And also
different
gives
facets.
exposure to these clubs and to
Absolutely,
these people.
which is why they are also brilliant, because they're hungry to be well known, and so they're plugging the event
Win-win
itself.
situation.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. So it's going to be really fun. I hope that you come down.
We will. This is an excellent idea.
Please come down.
Let's talk about the food festival. So Dubai Food Festival is February 23rd to March 11th.
Yes.
And how do you expect that to go? And how would you describe the event?
Yeah. So the food festival is a great idea. It's typically broken down into different sections, but the idea is obviously to shine a light on how great the food scene here is.
And would you
how
agree
much
that
it's
it is
grown.
great?
I would agree that it is really good. I don't think it's the best in the world yet, but I do think it's really good. And I think that there are a lot of very talented homegrown chefs here, and I know that there are a lot of celebrity chefs
Right.
here as well, but a lot of them don't stay, and I have a bit of a problem with that.
Sure.
You know, so there are
Why
a lot
might
of
that be? Why do they not stay?
I think they've got their own lives in other cities, you know.
Yeah.
They, you know, people, for example, like Gordon Ramsay, amazing that they have a restaurant here, but they're not always here to oversee it.
Sure.
So I wonder if that's...
How much attention perhaps he's paying?
Yeah,
to
I guess so. And then you have other people like Gary Rhodes, who lives here,
Okay.
and who is very passionate about his restaurant, who's in there all the time,
Yeah.
making sure that the quality is
You have
to his
the-
standard.
Yeah, and you have the newly born Nusret, the Turkish.
Yeah, I
Salt
mean, what?
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Salt Bay, what a ledge. And he kind of flipped in and out as well. And I understand that they have restaurants, you know, around the world. They have
can't
empires.
really stay in one place. They
No,
have to make sure that all the restaurants are working.
you're right. I should be nicer.
We
about
had for our episode previously recorded. We interviewed 4 of the top food bloggers here in Dubai, and one of the things that they mentioned, you'll recall, Dahlia, was like that there's an enormous turnover of restaurants in Dubai. That there's a new, what did they say, 4 restaurants opening every week in Dubai. I think
every day, I think.
was it
Yeah.
every day or every
Yeah.
week, something like this. So
Every day, 4 restaurants are opening up in Dubai.
Well, even if you imagine, in 1 month of what's on, we probably review about 8 restaurants.
that's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
next. Is
Yeah.
how do you approach that challenge of
Yeah,
every-
it's not
yeah.
an easy tap it, because we
Yeah.
get requests. I mean, we must get we get a handful of requests every day to review restaurants. Now, some we give a lot more emphasis. If it's in an excellent hotel, chances are it's going to be a popular restaurant. And a lot of these restaurants, a lot of restaurants at the moment are kind of imports. They're kind of, you know, they're famous ones in wherever, LA, and then this is their second branch. And we're interested to kind of know if it's going to be as good as the ones abroad. So we might take a lot of focus on, they might be our main focus. But similarly, if we're using social media a lot now, if we're hearing that a particular restaurant is getting a lot of following, a lot of likes, we might want to kind of check out those ones just as much as the bigger brands.
To see which one is trending, or to see if the hype is,
it's worth
as
it.
good as the hype.
Exactly. Yeah.
So getting back to Dubai Food Festival,
yeah.
how is this sort of constructed or organized?
So I think Dubai Food Festival is hosted by, again, Dubai Tourism.
Okay.
So they're very much pushing this idea of shining a light on the food industry in Dubai, and they break it down into each section. So I think it's like its third year, or I think it's its third year.
Okay.
And they break it down into sections. So one of their main sections is this idea of having a beach canteen, which is a really smart, nice idea, where they set up a load of shipping containers and they open them out to some restaurants, and people are sitting on the beach and go and try some of the better restaurants in the city for less. So they can grab some cones of calamari and from XYZ restaurants. So that's quite nice. And then aside from that, a lot of the high-end restaurants around Dubai offer what they call like a Dubai Food Festival set menu.
Is that Restaurant Week?
Yes, exactly. And so that's called Restaurant Week. And so a selection of restaurants will then check out, a selection of the restaurants will then kind of host a set menu where people try for less.
And is there any type of discount on that, or is it just a traditional
so
expensive price?
No, so these ones are, I think it's 199 dirhams.
Okay. So there's a set 199 kind of price.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas typically, so for example, I think Restaurant Week, some of the restaurants that are include a Burj Al Arab restaurant, Scape.
Yeah.
Scape is their relatively new restaurant. It's kind of like a beach. It's got a beach vibe, real LA kind of style.
I have not been to Burj Al Arab yet. Have you been
Ever?
there? I'm assuming no, I've not.
You've never been to Burj Al Arab?
No.
Wow.
I'm almost intimidated to go.
Here?
I've been here a year and a half now.
Oh, okay.
Have you been to
that's not
Burj
so
Al
bad.
Arab? When did you go to Burj Al Arab?
Okay, last year.
Okay, last year. Okay.
Yeah?
So you're
10
just
years and I only went last.
No,
Okay,
maybe
so
it's
now I
like,
don't feel so
do you know
bad.
what? I'd never seen Big Ben until I was 21, and I'm British. That's like super strange.
Yes.
It's just one of those things that you just don't really do. Like, how often do you go up to, the 122nd floor of the Burj Khalifa? Rarely, but I tell people to do that every day.
Right.
So yes, it's the same thing. I do understand.
But I've always felt somewhat intimidated going to Burj Al Arab because I thought like you need a special reason to go or something. Or
can you
just walk in?
You need to have a reservation.
Okay.
So you need to have booked somewhere to go inside.
That's it.
Either
But
the
that's
restaurant or the spa or
Yeah.
the gym.
As long as you book
Exactly.
something, no problem. walking
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
Okay. I
So
should've known.
this would be a really great opportunity for
Yes,
you.
cool.
And you know what? I don't think you're alone in that. I think that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't want to go to Burj Al Arab because they feel intimidated,
Yeah.
or because they feel it's like out of their price bracket or anything like that.
Right.
Or maybe it's just because they've lived here their whole life, so they just keep on postponing. Like, I live
Right.
here, I can just go.
I'll go another
whenever.
time. I'll go another
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Exactly. Whereas this is kind of a prime time to go. So you've got places, like Burj Al Arab Scape Restaurant, Gaucho in the DIFC, Marina Social, which is run by celebrity chef Jason Atherton. He's a very famous British chef. Social by Heinz Beck, again, another really popular chef who doesn't live here. But, so it's but still excellent restaurants nonetheless.
Sure.
And that's happening, Restaurant Week is February 23rd.
February
for a
23rd to
week.
March 4th.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent. Well, definitely we'll check that out.
That's it. And then I think my all-time favourite for food festival is it happens at Burj Park, which is the park at the base of the Burj Khalifa.
Okay.
And I think this is the second time that they're doing this. It's called Eat the World.
Okay.
And what they do is they bring over, I think they must ship over a host, or a fleet, I should say, a fleet of food trucks from around the world.
Okay.
So, the kind of food truck revolution is very much
How would
a
you
worldwide phenomenon,
How would you
right?
describe the food truck revolution? What is that exactly?
So I think I think it must have started in America, right? And you are used to seeing food trucks, just pulled up on side streets.
I guess
and
I'm
they
so
sell,
used
like,
to
hot
it that I
dogs.
didn't know it was a
You didn't even think.
revolution. Yeah.
But you remember food trucks would be like a hot dog stand, right?
Right.
And then suddenly it became, would you like this? A food truck rolls up that has, braised beef cheek tacos sprinkled with coriander, and it generally became this
So that's
really
what it is. It's about
kind of
sort of really high quality street food.
it became kind of gastronomic. It became
Yeah.
a gastro food truck.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I mean by this
Yeah.
food truck revolution, where they moved from being kind of low end to this kind of, this is what everyone wanted to suddenly do and become. Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that movie Chef?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
How much?
Totally have seen that movie. Have you seen it?
No.
It's
Okay.
it's what's his name?
John Favreau.
John Favreau, exactly.
Favreau, yes.
And then his whole thing is like Cuban. What do you call them?
It was like a sandwich, right? Cuban.
Yeah, it's
What did he
called the
call it?
Cuban, I think.
Right.
Is that what it's called?
I think
it's
so.
called the Cuban.
Yeah, the Cuban.
And it's a type of sandwich that's famous in Miami, but you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
But he makes the perfect Cuban. Is that that's the plot of the movie?
That's the idea. He's he's a popular chef, but then he has an argument with with the manager of his restaurant because he wants to do it one way, and his owner's saying, "Nope, you've got to make that souffle how you've made it for 15 years." And he's like, "I don't want to make that souffle for 15 years. I want to do something new and exciting because people want to do something new and exciting." And he's like, "I don't care. You want to do something new and exciting, you can get out of my kitchen." And he left.
The movie's called Chef.
And he's called
called
Chef.
Chef.
And so he decides to, buy a rundown food truck, do it up with his son, and then travel the whole of America getting inspiration for food ideas, and realizes that actually the thing that he's greatest at is the thing that he does all the time, which is this Cuban sandwich, that becomes this hot ticket around the whole country. And it's a lovely story, and you will want to quit your job or you will want to change majors and learn how to be a chef, because suddenly the coolest thing in the whole world is to be a food truck owner.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happened, around the world.
Gotcha.
So if that inspires you, you can go and check out Eat the World, where there will be a host of these food trucks. I think there's going to be, I don't know, they've got like 10 coming from the UK, a few coming from Singapore, another set coming from the US, and they're all kind of, competing for your taste buds,
That sounds excellent.
so to speak. Exactly.
Sounds excellent.
Yeah. I think
February
it's gonna be really
23rd to 25th. Eat the World, and that's basically right next to Burj.
So are they all gonna be foreign food trucks, or?
I think that good question. I think there's going to be a few local ones here because there are.
I'm sure Salt. is
Yeah,
one of them.
I don't know. Soldier a funny truck.
Well, that's one of like the high
It is
class, fancy.
It is,
food
but
trucks.
they're also they don't need to move around. They've become a food truck that are so stationary they don't move from
no longer a
from the
truck.
beach club. Yeah, they don't even need to move. They're like, people come to us. We're not gonna. Why should we move? So I don't know if they're involved, but there's definitely a few more.
Do you get to review restaurants in your job?
Yes, it is the greatest part of my job.
And do you review them anonymously?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't review them anonymously.
Okay.
So I will typically tell them that I'm coming.
And then they
And then
roll out the
Put
red
on the
carpet.
best show.
it is just, we tell them, we're not in the process of picking out, What's On isn't in the process of picking out the fly in the soup, so to speak. We are championing restaurants.
Right.
Of course, if a restaurant is dreadful and awful, I'm not going to tell you it's great. We just won't write about you. The magazine is very much a guide to what is on and what is the best.
Oh, I see.
So if
you don't consider your job to say like this restaurant doesn't meet our
Don't
standards.
criticize.
we will criticize if, yeah, we will. We always say, if we tried 10 different dishes and 7 were amazing and 3 were not that great, I'm going to focus on those 7 dishes and not bother telling you about the 3 bad ones. I might just say this one wasn't as good as this dish, which was really excellent. That's just not our style. I have no problem, with, if I was reading The Guardian and I was listening to their celebrated food critic talk about food and be super critical. I appreciate that as much as I do. I totally appreciate that. But in our line of work at What's On, we're very much about championing restaurants.
So what
writing about them.
what are the hot restaurants right now in your opinion?
Oh gosh, do you know what? So I think the highlight of probably the 2 years that I've worked at What's On was a restaurant that I went to in January for the February issue. And this was a restaurant that is called The Experience. And not
Okay.
many people have heard about this restaurant.
I read about it in this
Page
issue.
60.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Sounds
was,
a little intimidating.
Do you know, it was...
Yeah.
I can understand that. I can understand why you would think it was intimidating. But you really don't need to feel intimidated.
Well, can
at
you
all.
describe it then?
Yeah, so The Experience is a new restaurant that is run, and run being the optimum word, by a chef called Reef Othman. Now, Reef was our What's On award-winning chef in our November What's On Awards. And he owns a restaurant called Play.
He was your number one chef?
He was our number one chef.
I got you.
And Reef owns a restaurant called Play, which is in the H Hotel. Really popular, great food. He calls it Mediterranean. Reef is a Singaporean chef.
I see.
He used to be honest with you, he's the guy that made Zuma amazing.
I see.
So he was a very, very talented chef who kind of really made Zuma the kind of powerhouse that it is today. And then he decided, as you would, to venture off on your own and try something new. Don't know how Zuma felt about that, but he went literally across the road and opened up Play. And then a year later, he decided to kind of create another restaurant.
Yes.
Which he calls The Experience. And The Experience is a restaurant that only fits 12 people. So as you walk in, as you press the elevator, you'll go up to the 37th floor, and the doors will open, and you will walk into what looks like an apartment. There's a sofa and a clothes rack. Clothes rack. What are they called? Coat rack.
Coat rack.
And a coat rack.
Yeah.
And then it's bare brick walls and lamps. So it looks
You
like
describe it as being at sort of your posh friend's house or apartment
yeah,
in
exactly.
New York or
Totally,
Dubai.
it looks just like a New York loft
Okay,
apartment.
New York loft, right.
And Rafe has said that he's basically designed his house, And then he walks through the doors and he greets you and he says, hello, come on in. And so we go through another door, and then there we are, we're greeted with this huge room which has panoramic views across Dubai on one side and gorgeous leather sofas. And right in the center there's a U-shaped table with only 12 seats. And as you sit down and you look in front of you, there's a huge kitchen with about 4 people in it, diligently stirring stock and chopping garlic. No one's talking to us, except Rafe, who's sitting in the middle. And he hands us his handwritten menu. So when you go to The Experience, you have no idea what you're going to eat. You'll call up and you might say, I don't eat this and I don't eat that. And he says, say no more. I will create your menu. You won't know about it, but it'll be all your favorite. You might tell him your favorite things. I absolutely love chips, let's say. And he'll say no more. I will create a 12-course menu for you.
You give him like a hint.
You might hint, exactly. You'll tell him, I don't like salmon, steak. I don't like steak, but I love chips. He'll say, say no more. I will create this. I will create this amazing menu.
That is clever.
So you have no idea what you're going to get until you sit down at this table and he presents you with his handwritten menu.
And I'm certain that this is really interesting for him as a chef.
He absolutely loves it.
Because it's constantly creatively challenging.
It becomes his workshop kitchen. Yeah, exactly. And then what he does.
Can I ask, what did you have when you were
Yeah, half of the things I couldn't even remember what we ate. But we had things, we had like a squid ink meringue served with the highest grade beef possible. And we had amazing caviar that he creates personally in France and gets it delivered and gets it shipped over. We had this amazing Korean dish which is called I think it's bibimbap.
Yes,
right?
I've definitely had that.
You've had this before.
It's really good. Yeah.
And this was his take on it. That was just, it was out of this world.
I see.
It was just incredible.
And can I ask you how much did it cost?
So this 12-course menu, I mean, how much do you think?
I have a feeling it's
12
ludicrously expensive.
Okay, 12 courses.
All right, wait, but per person is the...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to guess at least... For what you described, since you kind of hinted that it's cheaper than I was going to expect, if you hadn't said that, I would say something like 1,000 each at least.
At minimum. I would have expected to have paid that.
Yeah.
Of course, I would never do that because
yeah.
I'm not on my wage. But it's 750 dirhams.
Okay.
So 750
So it's
dirhams
reasonable.
plus a welcome drink. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's well worth the money.
Yeah.
And now you can go with your plus one.
Yeah.
Say, for example, you're going to go with your one dining partner, and you might share the table with other people.
Mm-hmm.
That might happen. Alternatively, you could book the whole thing out for a party.
I see.
One hell of a party, but a
Yeah,
party.
yeah,
So you book the whole 12 seats
Up
for
to you.
750.
Yes.
But no.
No, so it's up.
750 each.
750
Ah, okay.
each.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
No.
That's
That's
but what's
gonna be
great
expensive
is that
to book the whole thing.
But
Not
Rafe
for
is the only
students.
yeah. But Rafe is the only guy really serving you, predominantly cooking the food, and for you. And he's literally he's in the kitchen. You see him, and he'll come to you and serve you. And a chef rarely does that. So he tells you what the food is, how you should eat it, or why he decided to create this, and then you can talk to him as you eat.
So you
That's
can
a
only
lovely
get
experience.
away with this because it's so small, right? So because there's 12 people in the place, but it sounds fascinating and as a culinary experience.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't really beat it.
Yeah. Any other restaurants that
What
you're in love with?
Do you know, we went to, an area that's really kicked off recently that we're really interested
City Walk.
at exploring. Exactly, City Walk.
Yes. Well, I know that because you highlighted it in this issue.
I like he studied so well, he's studious. But City Walk is a great...
Yes.
I'm talking more like City Walk kind of opened in phases, right? So we had the original City Walk, which had the Sapporo de Biche and Max's Burger and a few other places. And then what kind of seemed like overnight, this City Walk kind of tripled in size.
Okay.
And became this really interesting area that had very cool art on the walls, lots of kind of hidden pockets of graffiti. It ended up, parts of it looked like Oxford Street. They'd put red telephone boxes and a Banksy-esque graffiti on the walls. And then they have this incredible cinema and this huge space and this great view of Burj Khalifa and all these amazing boutique shops. And then what came next were these brilliant restaurants. So we, as a team, kind of went down to the new part of City Walk and had a look around. And we found some brilliant restaurants that we were really impressed by. One of them was Dragonfly by Tim Raw. Funny. So here's a chef from Germany. His restaurant in Berlin has 2 Michelin stars, and he's creating Asian food. And this is non-licensed, but fine dining. In the
When you
heart
say
of City Walk.
non-licensed, you mean you can't get alcohol
You
there?
can't get
Okay.
alcohol, yeah. But so you can't get alcohol in there. So what they've decided to do is create juice wine that they
Okay.
call Jine.
Oh, is this
Easily the weirdest word I've ever
Is
heard.
this a prohibition type concept?
It's
or?
not, because it's genuinely juice wine. It's
Okay.
juice.
Oh,
it's
I
just
see.
juice.
Okay.
But they serve you juice in a wine glass,
Okay.
and they're like, and the sommelier of this Jine will tell us to smell the wood, smell the notes of XYZ fruit and whatever.
Is he
And
doing
we're
this
sitting-
He's doing this non-ironically?
Yeah, no, he's being just so genuine.
Okay.
So genuine. And I'm sitting there like, we just want wine. But I'm cool. We're cool with it. We get with it, and we're like, oh yes, yes, I can smell a hint of beetroot because it's beetroot. But it was fun. It was fun
Yeah.
nonetheless. It was
Yeah.
entertaining
Yeah.
and novel. But yeah, so that was so Dragonfly, but the food was excellent, and we had Peking duck and this wonderful lobster dish. So one that I would definitely recommend. Maybe steer clear from the giant.
What about
thing from-
Dubai and karaoke? You have a spotlight on Lucky Voice. Have you been to Lucky Voice?
Yeah, no, do you know what? I haven't been yet. I have one colleague of mine who is a karaoke fiend. I think she
Okay.
lived in Korea, and
Okay.
then by proxy she is now knows every, she's just the karaoke queen.
expert.
Yeah,
Karaoke
exactly.
queen, yeah.
Karaoke queen. So she went to Lucky Voice Dubai, which is in Barsha Heights.
Barsha Heights, for our listeners who aren't aware, the new name of TCOM.
TCOM,
Formerly
yeah.
known as TCOM.
Formerly known as TCOM. head of TCOM decided that wasn't cool. It didn't sound luxury enough.
Oh, it didn't sound
Luxury enough, right?
Was that the backstory?
Of course.
Okay.
How people don't want to live in TCOM. People want to live in Barsha Heights.
Barsha Heights.
Sounds fancy.
Exactly. So this is the new karaoke spot at the Grand Millennium
And
Hotel.
it's a British concept. No?
Is it British?
I think so. I think Lucky Voice is a British
It's
concept.
a British concept.
Yeah.
Well, British love singing, but effectively, yeah, we've got a handful now of karaoke spots in Dubai. We had the most famous was Harry Gatto's, which was in the Jumeirah Emirates Towers. Fortunately, that closed, and then suddenly 3 popped up at the same time. But Lucky Voice is the latest one, and it's not like karaoke like I remember. You know, you're not given some sort of sticky, bounded A4 pieces of paper with different booklets with the different songs and the words on. Now it's all computer generated. You arrive into a booth and it's got a sexy iPod and with a catalogue of like 3,000 songs to choose from. You literally click that and it appears on the screen. And then not only that, there's a smoke machine in the corner and auto-tune.
Auto-tune.
So you actually sound amazing. So this is the joy of Lucky Voice.
Yes.
And then of course on top of that, to kind of set themselves apart, they serve brilliant food. Mm-hmm. My colleague was like singing the praises of their smoky paprika fries. Which is reason enough to go.
So, Laura, can you tell us a bit about this cover story? 35
Yes.
dishes under 35 dirhams. And
Yes.
how did you come up with this idea?
So I wanted to have a little bit of fun in the February issue. Typically, we always go with a foodie theme. So we do Dubai best curries. I can see it's on your table. We've done Dubai best burgers. Mm-hmm. Typically, when we do these foodie, we round off the best burger places. We will get so many emails about people telling us how wrong we are and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, you're right. You know what? I'll deal with that another month. I wanted to do something really fun because in February, January is typically the time where you want to get healthy and you want to lead a better life. And then February, you realize, God, you're still poor from the holidays. And you don't really care about being healthy anymore. You just want to know where's cheap and where's good to eat, right? So we kind of came up with this concept.
And not to interrupt, but finding inexpensive food, good quality food, is not that easy in Dubai.
Yeah,
right?
it's not that easy in
Because
Dubai.
there's great food in Dubai in my experience, but it's quite expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But actually, there's also really great food past Trade Centre roundabout.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Dubai, Karama, Dira.
Sure.
Actually, you can get some amazing food.
Right, but it's a long ways away from Media
It's a long
City.
way. It's a bit in a different way that Burj Al Arab is intimidating.
Yeah.
Dira, Karama, and Dubai can also be intimidating because you don't know, there's so much choice.
Yep.
You don't know which which South Asian restaurant is going to be the best one.
Right,
You
right,
keep being
right.
told, Karama is the place for a curry, and you're like, okay,
which one?
but exactly, which one am I going to choose? Which one do I go to? So that's where we come in.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that we wanted to go and hunt down 35 dishes because we thought under 35 dirhams it would be really hard to find a hearty meal.
Yes.
I'm not talking like a bar snack. This has got to really fill you up and you want to feel good and you're like, yeah, you'll feel happy that you've had this meal and you feel like, yes, that was a bargain. I am satisfied.
Yeah.
So we kind of first of all our entire team kind of sat together and we literally just had a whiteboard and we started shouting out our favourite places, finding out how much they cost. And we were so surprised that we found that a lot of these things that we thought were pretty cheap ended up being 40 dirhams, 45 dirhams.
Yeah.
Actually, that's 55 dirhams. And then you're thinking, my God, I've spent so much money at lunchtime.
Start to regret.
You start.
Regret.
So it was actually a tougher job than we thought of, but it allowed us to go and explore some brilliant places.
This was your pitch, right?
This was my pitch. I really wanted to do this because I really wanted to explore the older parts of the city and really tell people where were amazing places to go. So as a Malaysian, my first port of call was to find a great Malaysian dish in Dubai. And so I contacted the Malaysian Tourism Board and I was like, guys, help me. I am one of yours. I'm looking for this national dish called nasi lemak, which is a very popular dish in Malaysia. And my mum would make me, and I was like, I don't know where to get it in Dubai. Please help me. And they said, come with me. We'll show you the best place. They took me to this restaurant. 30 dirhams, fantastic nasi lemak.
Where is it located?
So this is the Oud Metha building. It's next to the Malaysian Trade Centre in Dubai. It's not far from Lampsey Plaza. If you know where Wafi is, it's kind of that area. I will take you all one day. It was brilliant. And then we kind of, and then so we started moving around, selecting a few different places, and then we broke them down into categories.
This one looks amazing. Urban seafood one.
Yeah, the urban seafood looks great. That's Ibn Battuta Mall.
Okay.
How great is that? 34 dirhams. 3 Fills is a brand new Indonesian restaurant in the Jumeirah Fishing Harbour. This is a beautiful restaurant. Indomie, the dish, so we've broken down the feature and told you what dish to order in each place, right?
Yep.
And so they have one dish that's called Indomie. Yes, Indomie. Now, Indomie is a brand for instant noodles.
Yeah,
it's you know it, right?
Yep, I know it.
She's a student, so of course
Of course you know it. So you're probably thinking, hang on, 30 dirhams for Indomie. But what they do is they have elevated an instant noodle, and in the instant noodles dish, they've added veal chorizo, asparagus, beans, garlic oil. So it's like a gourmet version of instant noodles. And it's absolutely delicious, and it's 30 dirhams. So it's good fun.
That is
but
cool.
So what we did, so we managed to whittle it down to 30. We got to 30. We had 35, right? We had 35 dishes that were good. But I felt like we were missing something. I felt like we were missing this one epic dish. And I was saying to the team, I was like, guys, wouldn't it be amazing if there was one dish that was just ours, and we could offer it just to our readers for 1 month. This amazing dish that usually costs 65, 70 dirhams. What if for the month of February it was 35 dirhams and you had to order it? You know, there was a secret menu and you'd be like, oh, hello. I've always dreamt about doing this, you know. I've always wanted to have this What's On like secret club.
Okay.
And so I contacted this new fish and chip shop, this gourmet fish and chip shop on the Palm, who've kind of created this delivery service that they've given a different name called Chippies. And I'm a big fish and chip fan as a British person. And I pitched the idea to them, and I said, if your fish and chips looks amazing as well, it could potentially be a cover. I can't ever promise it because my senior art director would kill me if I said that. But they said, count us in. You know, we want to be involved. So we went down and we shot. We took this photo. So I've eaten these chips and that fish when we finished with it. It was all very cold, but it was still delicious. And we created this newspaper because typically fish and chips is, you know, wrapped up in newspaper. It used to be. So the cover was a really fun idea. And then on the 1st of February, which is when the What's On special was to be launched, I was so excited about it that I called up the delivery company Chippies. But I didn't want them to know it was me. I didn't want to be the first person to call because, you know, I don't know why I did that. But I just didn't want them to know it was me. So I started putting on this, you know, I was like calling, I was getting really nervous. And I put on this accent. I thought, I'll put on this accent, they won't know who I am. So I was like, hi.
American accent, of course.
Tried. It's terrible. I was like, my name's Dina, and I've just got the new issue of What's On, and I want to order the What's On special. Is that a thing? And the guy on the line, he didn't even flinch. You know, he was just like, yeah. The What's On special? Oh, of course. We know all about it. Yes, that's mini fish and chips with mushy peas and a battered Mars bar, only for 35 dirhams. We can order it to your door in 30 minutes. Is that what you want? And I'm like screaming. I'm like screaming on the phone. I'm like, it's working. I'm telling my friends, it's working. They're doing it. I'm like, yeah, that one. I'm really interested in that one. That sounds like such a great deal. Put down the phone. The food came and it was brilliant. And I'm hoping that a lot of people have done it. You must order it. How much was the original price? I think the original price is about 60 plus dirhams, right? So we're getting about half off.
And they're just doing this for
So they're just doing this for the month of February, but it is a slightly smaller portion than their heartier their heartier option. But they've also created like a what's on menu. So also, you know, you can get the what's on special, but you can also order a sausage for cheaper, the battered sausage for cheaper, chips. I mean, this is like calorific food, but
Your dream finally came true.
exactly. So it's happened. They've let me have this like secret menu, and they let me call it the secret menu, and so you know I can die happy. So yes, so it was a lot of fun, and you know, rather than you know. And that's what's great about What's On, is that we get to have a lot of fun with the things that we do.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And the cover photo is awesome. Like you said, the concept of the newspaper background really works.
Yeah, thank you. We hope it was a fun idea. It was very difficult to execute because when you look at fish and chips, it's quite yellow.
Yes.
Right? So my senior art director's looking at me going, Laura, you know, this is a really yellow looking page. What are we going to do if the fish isn't golden like we imagine? And what happens if the chips look really bland?
It's got to look like you're going to cut right into it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it looks really real. And I like the fact that there's a little plastic fish with vinegar in, and I like the fact that there's, you know, a nice wooden plate, and the newspaper does look like a newspaper. So I think it's come together quite nicely, and we've got nice response from it, and it can be hit and miss, you know. Sometimes events will fare better than
doing a food or just kind of a theme.
Yeah, but so far it's doing really well.
Does this beat out putting Axl Rose on the cover, for example?
Do you know what? I think I would say it does because it's quite niche.
Sure,
whereas everybody wants to know where to get good, cheap food.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Laura. This has been an awesome interview.
It's been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
It's
I
been a
could
pleasure.
talk forever.